Hi there, I'm John Cook, Program Director of the 2024 Mint Film Festival. Very pleased to be here with Melissa Davey, documentary filmmaker, producer director of the film Climbing into Life. So Melissa, welcome to Mint. We're happy to have you here.
Thank you. Again, I wish I was there in person, but this is a good second best.
Well, we appreciate hearing your additional thoughts on the film and getting to know you a little bit. So I'll just start with asking you, how did you come to know Dierdre, and what was the process of getting the film or the project started?
Yeah, well, bumping into her was rather interesting. It was toward the end of COVID lockdown, and I was on online a lot more than I used to be. And I was reading something on Facebook about this woman, who had climbed El Capitan, and I immediately left a message that just said, "Wow, this would make a great movie." It was. I don't even know who I was talking to. And the next day, Dierdre wrote back to me and said, "Are you a filmmaker?" And I wrote back and said, "Yes." And she said, "Well, I think we should talk." So we set up a phone call, a Zoom actually, like this. And for the next 3 months, we Zoomed together, getting to know one another, and me finding out whether or not I felt that it would be a good film or an easy film for me to try to tackle. And she was definitely wanting to do a film. She had written a book about her climb and her son and her daughter that I had never even heard about. But I got to know her these 3 months online, and we decided, okay, this has enough meat in it to make a great film. And my job as an elderly female uh, documentary filmmaker is I make films about older women to show their continued relevance. So this fit right into what I was hoping to do. And that's how we met online. And 3 months after we met, we were making plans for me to get to California to start filming.
Well, one of the things I love about the film is just how you structured it, and the way in the order in which you unveil or sort of reveal certain details about her life. And can you tell us a little bit about that process, and how did you determine how you were gonna, because she's got such a long life, so many details, so many
She does.
she's done. How did you determine how to put it all together?
It's interesting as a filmmaker, you come away from filming, with 10, 20 hours worth of film for this one little segment that you're going to do for an hour or under. And you just start putting it out, looking at it and re-looking at it with editors and saying, what is the best way to tell her story? And some people, when I was doing some focus groups, thought, well, start with the climbing. And so I've played with it several different ways, but it never felt like it was congealing the way I wanted it to when we started with the climbing. And she had said her opening remarks are, well, how did I get here? It's a long story. That came popping out at me like, let's put that in the beginning, then tell the long story with intermittent, different pieces of information coming in, and then end with, this is how she got here and look where she's going. So it was just trial and error. And it really came from her statement of, well, how the heck did I get here? Because again, she was never an athlete in her entire life, ever. So it is kind of interesting to see somebody who was then in her 60s come to terms with the fact that she wanted to try something that her kids were doing. And she ended up where she is today.
Well, that whole part of it was really interesting, where she was wanting to get into running, where Alex said, if you can run a mile, you can run 2 miles. And
Yeah. Yeah.
how she said the line about anything can be accomplished through baby steps. That's really,
Yes. And that's the message, that we may be older as females right now, or even as males. It doesn't mean we can't try new things. It doesn't mean that we'll compete at the level that Alex Honnold competes at. Not even close, but it was more of getting it done in whatever fashion and way that it takes you to get it done. You've now accomplished something new in your life, even if you're in your 60s or 70s or 80s. That's where the baby steps come in.
Yeah, and I think what really makes this film great, or what I've taken away from it, is it feels as though it's really a film for anybody.
Yes.
Even if you're not over 60, or even if you're not into climbing, there's just such a strong universal message with this film that
Right.
really,
And that's my goal. That is my goal, to get young people to look at it
yeah,
as well as older people, because the message is universal, that at any point in time, we can do something different or do something new that will challenge us and make us feel really good about ourselves. So no matter when that happens, we shouldn't shy away from whatever that little message is on this side of our head saying, why don't you try this? And most people get stuck in saying, well, I was never trained to do that, or I'm not an athlete, or it's like me. I didn't become a filmmaker until I was 65. So, you really can try to do just about anything. And that is the message.
yeah, it's such a great message. And, that leads me to my next question was, you know, for you having gotten a later start, or really in your next career, the transition into being a filmmaker, I'm interested to know, what did you take away from this project personally? Like, how did Dierdre's story change you, or what effect did it have on you?
Yeah, the effect that it had on me is confirmation, just that confirmation that we are never too old to keep moving forward and try new things. And it gave me a level of extra confidence, I think, in realizing that, yeah, I'm not, Steven Spielberg, but I can create a film that helps to tell someone's story. And to me, that's one of the most important things out there. So it kind of solidified in my mind that for now, in my 70s, this is what I'm supposed to be doing, helping people tell their stories, helping older individuals tell their stories.
And I think for younger audiences, that they will look at this and, they know that that's going to be them eventually, 10, 20, 30 years, whatever it may be, that that time of life is coming for everyone. And so to just think of it ahead of time in those terms, that
Yeah.
it doesn't have to be just shutting down, or, just playing golf, or,
Right, right.
familiar with, that it can be an adventurous time of life. And
Yeah.
I think that's really inspiring. So for you, what's next for you as a filmmaker?
What's next?
what
I
are
am.
projects you're working on? Or?
I'm toying with the idea of writing a screenplay, because I haven't done that yet. I did the easy filmmaking, which is documenting somebody's story. So for me, there could be a bigger challenge in that I could write a screenplay and try to produce that. So I am playing with a storyline that has an older woman as the protagonist. And we'll see where that goes. And then otherwise, after the film festival route, I need to figure out how to get this distributed. So that's on my plate.
Okay, well, thank you so much for joining us. And so we really, really enjoyed your film. Everyone here that saw it really appreciated it. So hopefully the audience that just watched it feels the same. But appreciate you being here, and best of luck to you.
I appreciate it too. Thank you so much, John.